This is Kaku, the Ancient Seal. The game features a very interesting art style as well as very interesting characters and a language that is definitely not a real language, but sounds pretty funny when you hear them speak it. Kaku Ancient Seal is an open world action game with very, very pretty graphics. It's very colorful and it is a very nice looking game. I won't lie about that. It actually looks incredible and the world is a lot bigger than you would expect it to be. Now, Kaku has pretty good world exploration. The world is a lot bigger than you'll initially think, because right at the beginning of the game, it's very streamlined. It's like you can only go one place or the other. The tutorial, once you finish that, the game really opens up. So once you make it to this area where I am right now, you'll be able to access 4 major regions of the map, which you're able to tackle in any order. There's the Misty Swamps, which is what you would kind of imagine it to be, though I would have expected a bit more swamp. It's kind of more like jungle, forest, tropical styled kind of map. You'll even notice that the enemies of each of these regions are usually either reskinned or have unique enemies for that exact region. But more often than not, you'll see some of the same enemies just with different colors and different, elements of attack. But there are some new enemies in each one. For example, like this guy over here. Then we have the Howling Snowfield, which is at the top right of the map, which is pretty much what you would expect from a snow area of the map. It's very, covered in snow and, it kind of looks pretty though. I like it. It really contrasts nicely. And each area also has their own kind of storyline that you can go ahead and follow, as well as various collectibles, which I'll talk about soon. The next area I want to take you to is the Flame Mountain. This is the fire area of the map. And if I go ahead and I teleport here, now, while it doesn't exactly look like what I would imagine a fiery mountain to look like, I haven't explored the map enough to see like fiery stuff, but it is quite a big map. I spent most of my early playing of this game throughout this entire area collecting various collectibles. You can even see some of them are marked on your map, like this Ruins Key. There's a chest over there. And there's different villages as well with, quest objectives that you can go ahead and interact with. But you can see here, plenty of the map is still covered in fog, which I have yet to explore, and it is a lot bigger than you think it is. Trust me, this map is actually bigger than I thought. And then the final location, which is the Dragonbone Desert, which I haven't been to before, so we're going to discover this for the first time. And I guess it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a desert filled with, dust and sandstorms and stuff. It really reminds me of what Pell World looks like. I guess the graphics, it's a really good, crisp looking game, even though it has a little bit of a weird art style with the characters. I feel like they look really cartoony and it feels like I'm playing a kid's game, but it has the difficulty, which can be a little bit more challenging than what I would think kids would be used to, I guess. But there are ways to get stronger, which I'll talk about as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about the combat for the game and how it works. So every enemy has 2 health bars, right? Well, they have their actual health bar, which in this case is a green bar at the top, and they have a blue one, which is their stagger bar at the bottom, which you can break and then deal more damage with your base attacks, which is a huge thing with most enemies in the game. And when you start out the game, you won't have many attacks that you can do. Honestly, you'll be very limited in what you can do, but it's good to know that you will unlock skills and new abilities and new right click, left click, right click, kind of combo attacks that you can power up to do different things. For example, if I want to do this, I can go with a big smash. I could do a smash and then go into a spin. You do unlock different mechanics, and I'll show you how you get those in a bit. In terms of the movement, you'll see here when I'm sprinting, you move incredibly fast. Your movement speed in this game is insane, and it also does chow your stamina, so your stamina gets eaten very quickly. The movement in the game feels fine. I have no problem with that, but sometimes in combat, I do feel the sounds and the effects and the way you attack enemies or certain bosses can feel a bit janky and a bit weird and kind of an uncomfortable feeling. I don't feel like it's perfect. I feel like it has a lot missing that requires more attention. I feel very disconnected, especially when I fight bosses in this game. The combat is one thing that holds the game back. Though I will say that this game shines more in its exploration and its puzzle solving, which is a lot more entertaining than the fighting of the enemies, at least in my opinion. To show you a little bit more about the combat, using a harder NPC who dies a bit more slower, here you can see there's this guy here who has a big, I don't even know what that was. I think that's one of my skills that lets me do a perfect dodge. You can see here though, The attacks don't really feel like they register on the enemy. It feels just a little bit weird for my liking. I don't fully synchronize with how the game feels. Like, even though you have this plentiful amount of attacks and skills, a lot of them take a lot of charge up and can be not as like fun as I would have hoped it to be. I mean, you can see here I'm out of stamina. I can't even hit. It's missing a lot is what I'm trying to say. Like, the combat just feels dull and you get bored of it very quickly if you're not bored of it right off the beginning of the game, because you don't even start out with these skills. You start out with like just this. Like, you just have like left click attacks and then the right click attack at the beginning before you can unlock all these cool super spins and stuff. But you do get like special skills that you can like unlock to do some like crazy stuff. For example, I can go to like a god mode thing where I have like a spear. Reminds me of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where you have like that special spear that looks like this. And this is like one of your special abilities that you can use where you look like a little god or something. I don't know, like I have like imaginary shield, imaginary spear, and you get like various different types of attacks with it as well. Now, that's not the only skill you get. You also get another 4. I only have 2 of them unlocked. You can see at the bottom right of the screen. Number 4 is the special power-up move, and number 2 is like, I guess, like this charge where I can like just dash in front of me and do like that kind of move. My god, that looks cool though. Like, it looks incredible, but those are like ultimate attacks, and you can only use them after your ultimate bars have charged up, which is that bar at the top left of my screen. Right now you can see it has no energy. It's the one that is empty. You also have different types of foods, which is a big part of the game. Like, you can see at the bottom left, I have like 4 types of foods. The first one is a heal. So when you consume that, it heals you. These foods come from items that you pick up on the ground, like these pumpkins over here that you'll find pretty much all over the place. You'll find 4 of the ingredients pretty much everywhere. And you'll also find cooking pots, which you can also teleport to one in the game. And these are where you're going to replenish and make the stuff. So like this first one here, I told you, here it gives you health, and you can level these up as well. The second one over here, this mushroom roll, which is actually your number 3 in your hotbar, gives you stamina. So when you run out of stamina, you can make this to increase your stamina so that you can keep attacking and use heavy attacks. The pumpkins give you a boost to your defense so that you can take more damage. It does have a timer though. It only lasts 15 seconds and can also be upgraded. And the last one is the prickly roll, which increases your attack stats so that you can do more attack for 10 seconds, as you can see, because you can only, consume it have it for 10 seconds active. So use this right as you're going to use like God mode or something that you're going to do a ton of damage with. You will be able to upgrade these as well to make them stronger, which I'll talk about in a bit. All right, so now it's time to talk about collectibles and puzzles within the game. So you'll see many different things in the world. In each of the maps are the same, and there's some cool mechanics that make collecting a little easier. For example, like on PC, if you're playing on like a mouse and keyboard, you can hold R, which is the same thing that you bring out your slingshot, and when you shoot at things at a distance, you can actually collect them in the same way like that. So like shooting them is collecting them, if it makes sense. Like destroying anything from a distance, you can collect it that way. Like that blue thing in the distance over there, I can literally collect it from here, which is something that I thought was pretty nifty. You'll see it fly to me in a second. Like, I kind of like that. Like I can collect it no matter what it is from as far as it is, which is pretty dope. Now, the first major collectible is one we've already talked about, which are the food items that you'll find all over the world like this to, use for crafting your different food buffs. Then you have this thing that you'll find regularly throughout the world, which is kind of like a save point. So when you press this, it will fill up your HP. It will also fill up your stamina and then also like save from this point. So if you go ahead and you die, like for example, swimming in a water that's too deep, I think this water is actually fine. And when you die, you will teleport or like respawn back from that point. Then you'll also find these things over here, which are called crystal towers. Now, some of them might be covered in spikes, and this is a case where you'll have to whip out your slingshot and switch to the fire ammo type, which the game will show you when you do play it. You just switch to it over there at the bottom left, number 2, and you can burn thorns. Anytime you see thorns, you can burn it with fire. If you see like a blue, purpley, swirly mist around it, you can use the 4th option, which is the poison one, in order to break those. Don't ask me why that makes sense, but you can break shadow with poison. Now, this crystal tower is actually a fast travel point once you solve the puzzle. So when you activate the puzzle, it'll always be a very similar thing like this. You can see it basically has, these different shapes that you move. You have a limited amount of turns, which you can see counted at the top. You have to connect this one square that I just did, and then you bring the one with the symbol in it all the way down to the bottom. I actually ran out of spaces, so I failed. So if I go ahead and I connect this, for example, like that, and then I go ahead and I move the bottom one all the way down, you see that's how you can unlock it and do it. And like I said, this unlocks a fast travel point that you can use to teleport here from whenever you want in the game. Now, these on the map will actually look like this over here. You can see Crystal Tower, Crystal Tower. These are uncollected. Once you do collect them, they will be colored in. Now, while you're exploring in the world as well, you might have seen a bunch of these different crystals, like the Divine Glory of Lightness. There are various different types of these crystals that you'll have to collect in order to upgrade your attack stat, your defense, as well as your heavy attack, and also your ranged attacks to make them more powerful. These are those things that you'll see like on the sides of walls and caves and just in random places that you can go ahead and break and collect to upgrade your different things that you have. So every time you see these, you should be collecting them because they are super important to getting stronger and, just increasing your overall, strength and viability. You'll also find rune keys throughout the different maps. This looks like this. It's marked by a green kind of look on the map. You can see here's a runes key over here. There's one where I am right now as well. And when you go ahead and you interact with this, it will actually just give you a runes key. So the way you use these runes keys is not directly explained. It took me a while to actually figure out. And it is super important in order to use these because it's something you're going to want to do. So when you hold down the button that changes that menu at the bottom of the screen, you have your abilities at the bottom left that you can use as well. For example, the fourth one lets you change form and lets you walk into villages with like a disguise. The third one lets you turn into a water bubble so that you can go ahead and walk on water, which is pretty cool for some areas of the game where there is deep water that kills you instantly when you fall in it. The second one is a massive jump that you can go ahead and use to jump big distances that you wouldn't normally be able to reach in case there was like lava or water or something that you can jump over like this. But the very first one is actually a teleport. And when you go ahead and teleport, this is going to take you to an area of the game where you're going to be doing a lot of your upgrading. Now, before we talk about these 4 pillars that are around us, we're going to talk about the things in the distance. You'll see there are 4 different areas in the distance with different red beams above them. Now, these are actual runes. This is where you use the rune keys. You can think of these as shrines from like the Legend of Zelda because they perform in a very similar way, right? So you have these over here. Those 2 I've already completed. This one, when you walk up to it, you can see you can unlock it. It uses a rune key in order to open and then takes you to a shrine that you will have to solve. Sometimes it's combat, sometimes it's like, different types of puzzles. You can see this one is like a special kind of puzzle like this, and it can be pretty interesting to do these. I'm not gonna lie, they're actually kind of like fun. Sometimes they're a bit harder than you'd think they need to be. But overall, I think these are like the most fun part of the game that I kind of find myself enjoying. Of course, the aim is to get to the end piece of the shrine over there. So if I go back here and I make my way there, go ahead and jump like this. You can see you can use this like flying thing, and then you can use an air dodge to get across like this. Now this thing at the very top is going to award you with a stat increase to your stamina, right? So this is a blue one, it's stamina. Sometimes it's a red one and it increases your health by 100. This is insane. Like you can increase your health and stamina by a huge amount by doing these things. Like it's no joke. At the beginning of the game, you start out with like 200 HP. If you look at me right now, I'm on 1,000 and I've got like 140 stamina. I don't know how much this thing increases your stamina by, but it is a very decent amount. And without it, you're going to get one shot by most enemies in the game. So you're going to want to do these runes as much as you can. The only thing I find really annoying in general for this game is that there are a lot of cutscenes or like, loading screens, I should say, to get back to things like you got to go here. This takes for so long for some reason. I don't know why there's like takes a while to like go, and then you got to go through like a whole cutscene, and then there's a loading screen back and forward, which is not super fun. Okay, so moving on to upgrading our character. In the same room over here that you teleport to by using the teleport feature, you'll see here there are 4 different pillars, right? Let's start out with the cooking one. It's the one of the most simple ones here. At first, you can also cook here. At first you think it's just cooking, right? It's like a cooking pot, which is a pillar, which makes no sense, but you can cook at this pillar as well as upgrading. So if you press the middle option, you can go ahead and upgrade the different things. For example, I can upgrade my healing thing to restore more health, and it can also hold more of the healing things. So at the beginning of the game, you can only hold, I think it was 4 or 5, I think it was 5 actually. At the beginning of the game, you can only hold a certain amount, and as you upgrade this and you level it up, you can see you can increase the capacity of how many you can hold. Right now I can hold 12, but if I upgrade this, I can hold 15. And you can see this is the same for all the other ones, like increasing your attack, increasing your defense, increasing your stamina. You can use these to, get better benefits out of your food. Then we have weapons. Now, this is probably the one that you're going to do the most. For example, increasing your weapon attack from 210 to 320 is a massive difference. And you can see here it takes those red crystals, those ones that you find in the open world. So every time you see those crystals, break them because you need a ton of them in order to upgrade, like 160 here to upgrade my weapon attack, as well as the main crystal currency, which you get from killing all enemies, doing quests, and just outright playing the game, to be honest. So if I go ahead and upgrade this, boom, my weapon attack is now going to be insane, and I now require 280 of these crystals to upgrade it further. And you can also do this for poise damage, which is your heavy attack to get rid of their shields. You have the ranged attack so that your ranged attacks do more damage. I can upgrade that too. And then you also have your defense so that you can take more hits without taking a lot more damage from those hits. This is something that's really important to getting stronger. Our next one is going to be our skills. This one's also pretty cool. It changes up the way that you play the game. Quite literally, you'll see it gives you a tutorial on what it does and the key commands. Like, for example, the slice attack is a left click, left click, left click, and then a right click, and it does like a slash right at the end that looks like that. You can also unlock new ultimate attacks by this menu. So you can see I have that Stonebreaker one that I showed you earlier on, which was under the middle tree. You can also unlock the one right over here, but it does cost a lot of these crystals, as you can tell. You'll also see that some skills have dual options. For example, perfect dodge over here. When I do a perfect dodge just as the enemy is attacking, it will allow me to have one of these two options here. You can see I can swap between these two at any time you want. So, for example, the first one over here is upon successful dodge, immediately unleash a weapon attack to trigger Dimension Slash. So as soon as I dodge, it's going to attack the enemy immediately. Or the second option over here is that one that you also experienced earlier in the video, where you do a perfect dodge and you kind of go into slow motion, which I actually kind of prefer because I can do my own attacks. I can decide if I want to dodge, if I want to heal. I can plan what I want to do next. So some of your different things can be used like this. Now, not everything has it unlocked immediately. You'll see there are requirements. Like if I go to speed stab on this move over here, I can't use any of these two yet because it has a requirement. For example, how to unlock: hit the enemy with a speed stab 350 times. I've only done it 70 once. And this bottom one over here, hit the enemy 900 times to get this option over here, which is 900 times is a lot. So you got to use this attack or this move 900 times in order to unlock this passive buff to that skill. So these are things you're also going to have to be aware of to upgrade your abilities. Moving on to the next pillar, we have the last and final one. This is for your ammo that you use to shoot with the slingshot. You can, of course, craft the ammo here, and you can also, as the other ones, click the middle button and go in here to upgrade the pellets to increase how many you can hold, as well as how effective they are. All right, so now that I've shown you how to upgrade, all you got to do to get out of here is just use the teleport feature, and you can go ahead and leave and go through all the cutscenes to get back. Now, the whole point of the game seems to basically be about exploring these 4 different areas of the map and covering everything, doing all the different quests, and then at the floating island at the very beginning, you will have to collect the soul of fire, the soul of water, the soul of earth, and the soul of wind in order to kind of progress the game and get to the very end, I guess. And each of these souls, I assume, are found in the 4 different regions of the world by following the quest lines and, uncovering everything that there is to collect. So the game can be a little bit of a grind where you go around exploring the entire map and try to uncover and find everything that there is to find while doing all of that and upgrading your character so that you can get stronger to presumably fight the bosses and, defeat the game, because you will need to get stronger because the game is toned really difficultly for some of the enemies. They're really hard to defeat. And they do require you to increase your strength as much as you can so that you can deal the proportionate amount of damage to defeat them without the fight taking too long and being a bit boring. So overall, that's what the game kind of looks like and how it plays like. I'll let you guys experience it yourself if you do decide to get it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.